In Pennsylvania, where Trump edged out a victory over Hillary Clinton by less than a point, Joe Biden is now leading by 11 points. In another state that surprisingly went to Trump in 2016, Michigan, Biden is leading by 9 points. And in Florida, the state where Trump wanted a big party for his convention, he is behind a staggering 13 points. Joining me now is Bruce Lavelle, Executive Director for the National Diversity Coalition for Trump. Mr. Lavelle, I'm so happy you joined me today. Listen, since you lead the Diversity Coalition, I kind of want to start there. So as the leader of this Diversity Coalition, I have to ask, as a member of the community, and I'm sure on behalf of many other people of color, I could go through a list of Trump's remarks and some of his greatest hits, but I'll just start with the most recent. He is insisting that people who are advocating for a racial reckoning in this country that's long overdue, that those people hate the country. He's threatening to send officers to cities. He wants undocumented immigrants to be excluded from census numbers, which of course decide how many seats they have in Congress. On June 28th, the president actually retweeted a video of some of his supporters shouting white power. I have to ask you, why would anybody in the community or people who don't support white supremacy, why would they listen to you carrying this president's water? You have the floor. Explain it to us.
Good morning to you, Tiffany, on the long list.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. Well, listen, a lot of chatter on Twitter, a lot of opinions floating around out there. To me, it's all noise. I look at numbers. We're numbers. The president, we came out of the lowest black unemployment in the history of the United States ever, recorded my lifetime in '72. The president's been key on funding HBCU colleges for up to 10 years, which, Tiffany, it's going to help your beautiful college here at Clark, where you attended, and many of my other friends who went to Morehouse and et cetera. So that's a great plus. And, you know, this Step 1 Act, Tiffany, where he signed into law, and this, what Biden put into effect, which is the authored the crime bill that Clinton signed that put total mass incarceration towards our black men. Okay. And so he unraveled that. So, I think, respectfully, there's so much noise out there. At the end of the day, the president's record speaks for itself. The people are not going to have amnesia from a few months ago of where we were in the economy. The fastest uptick in small black business owners in the last few years that I've seen. I'm a black business owner here for 28 years in Atlanta, and a lot of my friends who started their businesses in the Trump administration have great, access to capital, low interest rates. So, I think respectfully, Tiffany, noise, numbers don't lie.
Noise, coming from the president, though.
Speaks for itself.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get into the president's record. You said it speaks for itself. So let's start with unemployment, because this is a statistic he loves to tout. The African-American unemployment rate right now reached 16.8% in May this year, the highest since March 2010. Now, I will acknowledge, prior to the corona crisis, there had been a consistent downward trend that actually began under President Barack Obama, which I'm sure you know. And Obama saw the rate decline from 12.6% to 7.5% during his terms in office from 2009 to 2017. So I just want to be clear on the facts there. And you're saying noise and that people won't have amnesia, but a lot of this noise is coming directly from the president. So I appreciate what you shared, but you didn't really address some of the things that the president himself has done. Look, a lot of people of color and a lot of American citizens are tuning into this program right now. This is your chance to make a sound argument on why they should listen to you and support a president who has failed on a lot of levels. I don't think that people will have a short-term memory. I know you credit him with the First Step Act. That was actually introduced in Congress by Congressman Hakeem Jeffries and Doug Collins, one of the Trump acolytes in Congress. And it's called the First Step Act because a second and third step needs to happen. We still have a very unforgiving criminal justice system, which this president seems to want to perpetuate by sending secret police snatching protesters off the street without probable cause. So again, why should people look at somebody who looks like our skin folk, but is carrying the message from somebody who's perpetuating a system of white supremacy? And I ask that with all sincerity, sir. I really am curious about how that happens.
And I, all sincerity, say that's a lie. I know the president.
How? How is it a lie?
He doesn't condone that.
He doesn't condone what?
The list of items tried to go over You know, listen, you can't. Barack Obama is not the president. You know, when Barack Obama, he had 8 years with Joe Biden to do something about our mass incarceration.
So let me just say, Mr. Lavelle, let me just quickly answer and just say, let me just say really quickly, when you do that, because I want to make sure, I know, before you answer, I just want to say, when you deflect to Joe Biden and Obama, it sounds like you don't want to address the record of the president who's in house right now.
Barack Obama. You brought him up.
Yeah, so just to fact check your unemployment numbers. And when you deflect to that, I think our viewers think you don't want to answer the question. So if you could just answer the question about the president you're here to advocate for.
As bad as it hurts the left that the president has great accomplishments helping the black community, opportunity zones, I can count several black businesses that benefited on the opportunity zones that are doing partnerships, building restaurants, building retail shops here in the opportunity zones that the president signed into order that helps underserved communities of hundreds of billions of dollars coming into these underserved communities, Tiffany. So,
I think a lot of these underserved communities are concerned, though, about children in cages, and they're concerned about secret police snatching protesters. They're concerned about a president who retweets white power videos. So, again, can you just address your president's record on racism, on the racist rhetoric and policies that he's instituted in this administration? People of color are watching right now. We're in a moment of racial reckoning. He says these are people who hate the country. You lead a diversity coalition, but you're here repeating GOP talking points. Talk to me. Talk to the community.
They're facts, Tiffany, and they're facts. And for the record, Barack Obama, he started the cages.
Well, we're back on Obama, and I really want you to talk about Trump. So if you can, just...
You know, and stop bringing up Obama, then we won't have to keep addressing it, Tiffany. We want to talk about Trump. Let's talk about Trump. We want to talk about Obama. Let's talk about Obama. But you're not going to sit up here on national TV and go down the list and don't give me an opportunity to address these issues, Tiff. So let's keep it real here.
Okay, let's by all means, let's keep it real. So if you could, let me ask you this, because you lead this diversity coalition, and I've found in my career there are a lot of people who lead diversity initiatives, and some people find that role to be, you know, you advocate for your candidate within these communities. I'm curious, do you ever advocate on behalf of black and brown communities with this president? And if so, what does that look like, and what are you advocating for?
Well, let's put it this way. For many years, I'm a lifetime Republican. I've lived in Atlanta for over 35 years. We've picked the same old candidates as usual, the same old folks. We finally got a president that came in here that understands business, that challenged the inner cities and the communities across the country. What do you have to lose? He put the money where the mouth was in terms of hundreds of billions of dollars in these underserved communities. He went directly after the HBCUs and funded them for over 10 years. He went right after us being oil dependency, where we're #1 oil producers in the world, where a lot of our black engineers that come out of Morehouse and our great HBCUs work in these oil companies that created even more jobs in the engineering and science department. Tiffany, the list goes on. The criminal justice, Biden has yet to apologize.
Well, we're not talking about Biden. I really want you, and trust me, I will ask a Biden representative all these questions about Biden. Yeah, again, trust me, when we have a Biden representative on, I'd be happy to talk all about Biden. But right here, you're here to represent Trump. So let me ask you this, because this is something I think is really important. We had Malcolm Nance on earlier, and it's been confirmed that Russia is definitely trying to impact our elections. In 2016, here we go. Let's stick with some facts and keep it real, as you say. So in 2016, Trump's campaign tactics mirrored that of the Russians. And somebody from your own, the Trump campaign said they told a Bloomberg reporter in 2016 that they had 3 major voter suppression operations underway, including one aimed at depressing the black voter turnout. How concerned are you that Trump might be using you to carry out this voter suppression by making this feigned appeal to reach voters of color? And what exactly does that outreach look like? I'm in the community, and I haven't really seen a lot of it.
I happen to know a lot about voter suppression, Tiffany. I'm glad you brought it up.
You're in Georgia, where Brian Kemp is a very active proponent of it, so I imagine so.
Voter suppression is when people who look like me look at another side of the aisle and vote Republican or something that has nothing to do with the Democrat Party.
Okay,
and then
Bruce,
get
come on.
persecuted.
Now, you know, we know what I'm talking about when I say voter suppression.
That's voter suppression.
You want to
That's
keep it
voter
real, my
suppression.
brother. Let's talk about real voter suppression. Let's not do that.
know-
I'm talking about GOP-led voter suppression, and I can give you numerous examples if you like, but I'm giving you an opportunity to say how this president, who has his own campaign officials, have admitted that they have had a voter suppression operation to suppress black voters. U.S.
Yeah, what is
intelligence
that?
agencies have confirmed that Russia is trying to stoke disinformation campaigns right here in America. You are here advocating on behalf of this president. Your response to voter suppression cannot truly be something that's partisan. Certainly, you are an advocate and proponent of democracy. What do you have to say about this campaign potentially suppressing people who look like you in a state where I grew up, in a state where you live now?
Suppressing, I just went down the list and proved that suppressing that we had the lowest black unemployment in my lifetime.
What does that
Tiffany.
have to do with voter suppression?
We funded our HBCU. I don't get where this is going, but but all seriousness, the Russians have no business in the Democrat Party, the Republican, any of our republic. The Chinese, any of us, they have no business whatsoever.
Agreed. Does your president feel the same way, do you think?
The reason why President Trump is going to win again is because of his record and where we are going in the future with this great nation. Now, I know that everyone's nervous because we're trending getting more black men vote on board that are following this president's great initiatives that we're going into 2020. And we're getting an all-out assault with all these conspiracy theories. We've thrown Russia. We've thrown the voter suppression. We're throwing everything we can at the wall to make it stick.
Yeah.
But Tiffany, it won't work.
All right. I think if you're fact averse, you probably believe that. But let me switch gears because something very serious, and that's 146,000 dead Americans. Donald Trump has said this virus is just going to disappear in hot weather. He initially called it a hoax. His administration has gone out of their way to discredit Dr. Fauci. In fact, Sinclair Broadcast Group, the very conservative group buying up a lot of local television stations, are set to air a conspiracy theory over the weekend that suggests Dr. Fauci invented the virus. Given that this kind of rhetoric is coming from your side of the aisle, and given that this virus disproportionately impacts people who look like you and me, how do you feel about the president's response, and what can he do better? Keeping in mind that a lot of people who have been impacted by this virus are watching right now. So I would just remind you to be sensitive about people who have lost family, who are the survivors of the 146,000 Americans who have died.
Well, you know, I'd caution you to be sensitive on how you're delivering the message, Tiffany. Let's be fair across the board. Number one, we have 51 million.
I'm just relaying facts, sir, but please.
Well, I'm relaying facts too. We've tested 51 million people. There's 328 million American citizens in the United States. We're number one in the world in testing. We have a vaccine around the corner that's probably due around December. And number one, thank God the president shut down the country and saved millions of lives on his leadership in January, or we would have a catastrophe. So, you know, I think that runs flat. I think we've done a great job. And the Fauci president, he just complimented him yesterday in the press conference.
I know, we haven't heard from him, though. He sidelined him. We haven't really heard from his administration has been doing Oppo research on it. So that's kind of strange that he's complimenting him while Peter Navarro is writing op-eds and saying bad things about him.
Make like there's chaos going on between the president and Dr. Fauci.
I'm going to sit here and report facts and try to get some straight talk from you. And you say we're number one in the world, but let me just say, okay, I hear you. Let me just say, right now, the U.S. has an uncontrolled outbreak. We're reporting more than 50,000 new cases a day. Just give me some. Let me give you some context for comparison. Smaller countries like Germany and Japan are reporting hundreds of new cases a day. Again, we're reporting 50,000 new cases a day. You can't sit here and expect the American people to believe that you believe that this president has handled this virus well. Is there anything that you think Donald Trump could have done differently? And if so, what is that?
I think he did. I think we as a country have done a tremendous job.
So you think 146,000 dead Americans was an appropriate response from this? We as a country, yes, but I'm asking about Donald Trump.
And the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and we as the country, Tiffany, have done a marvelous job and a wonderful job combating this China virus that has taken over our economy.
So I just want to correct you. I don't know. You lead the diversity coalition, and you're using these racist terms like the China virus.
It came from China.
COVID-19. Yes.
It came from China.
Yes, but
That's where it came from.
Yeah, but I would no sooner say that you had the MAGA virus than I would call this the China virus.
No.
That's ridiculous,
Well,
and you know that. And somebody leading a diversity coalition that's clearly offensive to the Asian American members of this community, it seems like an easy thing to not do that as the head of the diversity coalition. Seems like an easy thing.
Where did the virus come from? China.
Wait, I'm sorry?
Where did the virus come from?
Look, I think MSNBC has a lot of people in rotation to host this show. When you get in rotation, you can ask the questions, but right now I'm asking them, and I'm saying a lot of people in the Asian American community, and myself included, find that term offensive. Why not call it COVID-19 what scientists call it? And that's really beside the point. I don't want to get sidetracked. The point is there are 146,000 dead Americans. We're seeing 50,000 new cases a day, and you have gone on record by saying you think the president has done a good job, and you don't think there's anything different he can do.
So you think that's funny?
I think, to keep from crying, sir. I find it preposterous that we can't have a factual discussion, that we can't have an intellectual exchange. And I wonder, let me ask you, has Donald, because I'm curious, this is my last question because we're running out of time. But I am curious because when I see folks like you support this president, has Donald Trump ever promised you anything financially in exchange for your blind support of this administration or helping his campaign? On the record, can you tell us if he's ever promised you anything financially or otherwise?
No, and I've known him since 2015. I know what he has promised. He promised that he wanted to get the black unemployment low, get it down. He wanted to create jobs. He wanted to bring back and resurrect generational wealth in black communities where people like me who own our own business.
The black unemployment rate, as I mentioned, was 16.8%. So how's that going so far?
I'm trying to answer the question.
Sorry, please go ahead.
He wanted to resurrect black generational wealth, create more jobs, more business owners like me, 30.6 million small businesses in the country. We represent 42% of the GDP. I just said earlier in the segment, we have the fastest rate of minority-owned businesses growing in this administration in the history of the United States. We own the retail commodities. We build the retail commodities. That's what the opportunity zones are for. That's why the Step 1 Act to get our black men back out with their wives, to get back to their families.
The First Step Act. Interesting thing, black women are actually the #1 business owners when it comes to communities of color. What does his outreach to black women look like, or does that exist? Or does the Diversity Coalition have any outreach plans to the black communities as it relates to black women?
I think the president needs to keep doing what they're doing, and the records don't lie and the numbers don't lie. And
the numbers don't lie. 146,000 dead Americans and 16.8% unemployment rate among black people.
Had we not been interrupted with the COVID-19 China virus, we would probably be at a 1.5% low unemployment. We would have even more growth of black business. So listen, watch the third quarter GDP. We'll get out of this. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be better. We're going to see more and more people like me who own and build businesses. And it's going to be under this Trump administration. It won't be under the Joe Biden administration, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, Bruce, look, I'll say I'm happy you came on. I think what you said has certainly been telling for the American people and certainly for the voters watching you right now. So I do appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. Unfortunately, we're out of time. More AM Joy after the break.